Oh, it's taking its time. There we go. All right, so it should be live. Just refresh your Facebook as many times as it takes to see it.
I'm doing it.
There we go. So I see it. Just keep refreshing if it doesn't pop up. There we go. All right. Do you see it?
Let me look at my notifications. Maybe that. Do you think that's a good way to look?
Yeah, I can also go to this original post and I can edit this and I can tag you in this post. So give me 3 seconds to do that. There you are. Okay. So that should load. Okay, now you're tagged in the post if you want to see it that way.
There we go.
There we go. Good. I was like, where is it? So you can click share and then you can change it to a page or a group or whatever.
Very cool.
Share to group.
I want to share it to a group. I just want to share it. I guess, or if you tag me, it's automatically on my public feed. Is that right?
So it should go, it should go to your, yes, it is. It is on your public, on your profile.
Maybe we'll just let it ride like that.
That's fine.
I guess we could share it to our group, babe. And then we'll do that. And then we'll share it afterwards to our page.
That's totally fine. Not a problem at all. Okay. Awesome. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Chiropractic Compass podcast and Facebook Lives. I am your host, Johnny Reuter, and we are on tonight, this evening, with these two beautiful souls, Dr. Rob and Katie. Welcome to the Chiropractic Compass podcast. And we are trying and attempting to provide a navigational beacon for the future and the present of chiropractic. And thank you guys so much for being on. You are health and wellness nuts. And I absolutely love that about you guys. We met through Instagram. And I'm super excited to dive into tonight's session. So if you want to do a brief introduction about yourselves, where you come from, how you got into health and wellness, chiropractic, whatever brought you into the profession, I would love to hear it, and I'm sure the audience would as well.
Awesome. Well, you're much older than me, so I'll let you start, baby.
That's true. I am older. Well, I've been practicing chiropractic for 23 years now. So although I don't look it, I know. But
I was going to say that.
We call it frankincense, and I keep him young.
That's right. She keeps, when you're married to a younger woman, But
gotta stay on point.
Yeah, so 23 years, and so I'm from New York State originally, and went to chiropractic school in Georgia, in Marietta, Georgia. Went to Life City. Yeah, and then now we live in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. So, and basically how I got into chiropractic specifically. So when I graduated high school, I actually went a different route and went into electrical instrumentation and got a job at IBM. And when I was working there, I wasn't really satisfied with that, but I enjoyed helping people. I enjoyed, that aspect of it. I was kind of like a support team for manufacturing department there. And so I was like, well, let me start looking at healthcare professions. So I looked at a number of different professions, from respiratory therapy to occupational therapy to physical therapy, et cetera. And make this long story short, just kind of stumbled upon chiropractic during that search, and really fell in love with the philosophy of chiropractic is what really kind of sold me. And the chiropractor that I was seeing at the time went to Life, and he was like, well, if you're going to go to chiropractic school, you got to go to Life. So I said, okay. And the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Nice.
Yeah, we met in Georgia.
Okay.
I was temporarily misplaced there. In order to meet him, I grew up in North Carolina, long and winding road that led me going back to school. I did 3 years for interior design and was an art school dropout. And because I fell in love with psychology and helping people around the time when September 11th happened. And so I worked with a life coach myself to get over my own mental hang-ups about, a good girl, straight A student, not dropping out of college, right? And so I was able to drop out of college, moved to Atlanta, which is where Rob and I met, went back to school for getting my bachelor's degree in psychology, and then subsequently my master's degree in professional counseling. And we started dating 2012. We worked obviously apart. I was in the nonprofit sector for some time at the beginning of my career. While he had a small private practice, he had bought and sold several practices, worked in group practice settings. And what we would come together at the end of the day to talk about was both how wonderful it was that we were able to provide that healing that we were each able to provide to the people that came into our offices, but also how we were aware that there was a limitation there where, you know, for him, he saw people not holding adjustments because of underlying hormone imbalances or relationship issues or life stressors, organ or gland dysfunction. And for me, I saw people coming into my office where if they displayed symptoms of depression or anxiety, I sometimes wondered, is that situational? Is that, you know, how most people think about it, just a neurotransmitter or a chemical imbalance? Or is this originating in the thyroid? Is this because this person's nervous system is, you know, being impinged upon? Or is this a high level of toxicity in the body that's leading to increased irritability or emotionality, right? So
absolutely.
We felt like what we were able to provide was only a piece of the entire puzzle of what is wellness. And so we kind of set an intention to begin to try to rectify that on a small scale, opened our first integrative wellness center in 2011 in Atlanta.
Awesome. Well, glad you guys are here. Glad you're on the show. And it sounds like you guys have the background and the expertise in health and wellness. I'll say that. I mean, you're an all-encompassing group, which is amazing. I love that. And, you know, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say shame, but there's a lot of different philosophies, as you might know, in chiropractic. And when it comes to different philosophies, you know, you get called names and a mixer or, you know, a straight chiropractor, whatever you want to put, whatever title you want to put on it. But for me personally, looking at all of these different aspects of life or having people in your corner of the world that do look at all of these different aspects of your life is vital, is critical to your health and well-being as a human being in society, especially as toxic as society can be at times and is currently, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I really think, to be honest with you, that's a disservice to our profession. You know, the infighting, like, you know, you're straight, you're a dirty mixer or whatever. And, you know, and just to be quite honest with you, when I graduated chiropractic school, I was that, you know, I was like that, you know. I felt like chiropractic was the all, you know, that was the end all.
Yeah.
That was, you know, as, you know, I think it was B.J. Palmer said, you know, free the jails and, you know, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was like so strong in the philosophy, right? Especially going to life, you know, that they, you know, the chiropractic philosophy is drilled into you, which is great, you know, but it's not the only thing. And it wasn't long into practice that I realized, like, there's more than just the adjustment. You know, people need more. And as doctors, right, I believe it's our obligation, especially as chiropractors specifically, right, because we have the most knowledge of, like, natural health care. You know, we don't prescribe any medication. So, like, it's in our wheelhouse more so than a medical doctor, you know. So anything that we can bring to the table that's natural, whether that's talking to them about nutrition or supplementation or essential oils or proper mental health, right, or exercise or whatever it is, you know, I feel like that's what we should be doing. You know, it's really a disservice to not include those things. It doesn't devalue chiropractic. I get that comment a lot too. You know, we talk to other chiropractors about incorporating, you know, other things into their practice, and they're like, well, I'm not interested in that right now. I just want to focus on chiropractic. I feel like that would devalue it. And and it doesn't devalue it at all. It only enhances what we do. It brings, to me, I feel like it brings you more credibility and respect because, you're bringing more to the table.
Mm-hmm.
People want kind of a one-stop shop. They don't want to have to come to you to get your adjustment. Then they got to go somewhere else to get their supplement and somewhere else to get this and somewhere else to get that. When honestly, we have the knowledge to provide everything for them.
Absolutely.
And really take their health and wellness to the next level, not only for them, but for their entire family.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with that. And, you get the philosophy here at Life. You get the philosophy at Sherman, Life West, wherever you go.
Right.
But, like you said, why not make it a one-stop shop? What's stopping you from doing that other than the fact that other people might judge? So let's get into it. Now that I'm off that tangent, let's get into it. I want to talk a little bit about essential oils. Essential oils seem to be very big with you guys. You guys just had the buy one, get one week last week, which was crazy. I was seeing posts all over the place, especially in the chiropractic world. So tell us a little bit about essential oils. Why is it critical for people and families, even the layperson that doesn't know much, to have essential oils in their home?
You want me to take that, or do you
Yeah,
want
I'll let you take that.
to? All right.
I've been talking enough.
Well, full disclosure, so essential oils is the newest arm of our health and wellness practice and our personal health and wellness regimen, if you will. Rob took a continuing education course by a very well-known chiropractor 3 years ago now.
Yeah, something like that.
And this course, after 23 years of clinical practice, you're kind of looking for something interesting, something new, different for continuing ed, and so he saw this course and kind of thought, well, let me see what that's about, and finished up the course and took a second course because he was so intrigued about just how to use essential oils in clinical practice. Now, prior to that time, I'd had like a patchouli and a lavender that I bought from Whole Foods, and he was like, you stink. Like, do not wear that around me, And so I kind of hid him and like wore him when I knew I wouldn't see him, right? And all I knew of it was like a hippie perfume, And that was the only thing I knew about essential oils at the time. So when he took this course about how to use them in clinical practice and then came to me to say, babe, I think we should incorporate this. And now a little bit of backstory. Our practice in Atlanta included psychotherapists, acupuncturists, holistic health coaches, chiropractic, functional wellness. We had, did I say acupuncture? We had sound healers. We had life coaches. So we were really open-minded about, massage therapy, yoga, all the different types of treatment modalities, in one place. And, moving to the beach here in this little tiny town where we live, we thought, well, how can we replicate that on a small scale? So when we learned how amazing these essential oils were from somebody who's so reputable, we thought, well, how could we not turn a blind eye to that, right? And now, don't get me wrong, we don't do everything in this practice. Rob's not an acupuncturist. We don't do much with Chinese herbs. We don't have massage therapy. So I'm not saying that what we bring is exhaustive by any means, but we just try to stay in our flow with what feels right to us.
Yeah.
And so what we learned in time is that essential oils are plant-based medicine, and the essential oil is the plant's lifeblood, if you will. It's the plant's immune system. Mm-hmm. And so if you think about the diversity of vegetation that we have across the globe, everything from culinary herbs to big, huge 800-year-old trees to beautiful fragranced flowers, and everything in between, and all the diversity of climates that these plants thrive in. And then in each of those climates, the viruses, bacteria, fungus, and parasites that they're exposed to just from the air, from the soil, from the water, from animal life walking by and brushing into them and delivering things, the plant has to be able to fight that off.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can find a very high quality essential oil, what you're finding is that extract, that's the plant's ability to fight off all those things, not to mention other things like rot, being able to live and thrive for 800 years. But, all the plant's abilities, and you can distill that down, dilute it. And the cool thing is that those compounds are made from the exact same organic compounds that our bodies are made from.
Mm.
So you'll hear some people say, well, gosh, the earth was created with humans and with plants. And maybe we were given everything that we need right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so this plant-based medicine, now not all oils are created the same. I'm not saying that. And I'm actually advocating that you do not go to either of my two favorite places, which are actually Target and Home Goods. Like, it's out there, right? Don't buy oils from there, right? Buy essential oils from, a well-reputed essential oil company that distills down for purity and potency, does rigorous testing, and publishes the test results publicly. It's constantly doing peer-reviewed research and publishing those on reputable sites like PubMed, NIH, etc., for the true efficacy, scientific efficacy of these essential oils, because if you get this type of quality, it truly is medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to the very nature of your question, we believe that there is a time and a place for people to come into a doctor's office. And there's also a lot that an empowered user can address on their own with their essential oil and supplement toolbox. Things like minor owies, itchies, skin irritations, minor digestive issues, body temperatures that may be a little bit more elevated than normal, mild emotional distress, mild sleep disturbances, right? So a child or adult that's fighting off a crud of some sort,
mm-hmm.
right? A lot that can be done in the home naturally to prevent having to take in, at the very worst, toxic, remedies, synthetic remedies into the body, drug remedies. Right now there is a time and a place, please, for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. But, perhaps not as much as our culture has gotten used to consuming those things.
Yeah.
And even at the very best, having to come in to a holistic doctor, right? So let's imagine that somebody did become under the weather with some sort of crud, right? The old way of being would be, we would advise them to come in immediately and get adjusted, right? Now what we would advise is for them to get adjusted and to be using their essential oil regimen and possibly some immune support supplements as well. We would advise some dietary limitations and making sure they're drinking enough water and getting enough sleep. And we believe very strongly that the body is capable of healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that the understanding of the chiropractic philosophy?
Yep.
And
power that made the body heals the body.
That's right.
So we use all those tools. So that's...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like she said, it doesn't, I want to just, because I know there's going to be a lot of chiropractors or chiropractic students watching this. Don't misunderstand. This doesn't replace the adjustment, right?
No.
Right? The adjustment is separate and distinct. Nothing can replace a chiropractic adjustment. So for any of those conditions, we're always advocates of like, get adjusted, right? And
mm-hmm.
now when you go home after the adjustment, until the next time I see you, there's all these things that you can be doing at home,
yes.
right? So it empowers them
mm-hmm. that
there's something they can do. It's not just passive on their part. They have to come in, they get an adjustment, then they go home and do nothing and wait till they see us again. They can go home and they can, like Katie said, they can either do their supplements or essential oil protocol or what have you. So, and I believe, and I think you would agree, that people really enjoy that. They like having the ability to have some control and over their health and well-being, So it's very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you guys did an amazing job. I mean, I take notes while you guys talk, while all of my interviewees talk. I take notes because I think it's important, right? And there are things that I don't know. I'm still a 10th quarter student at Life, and I'm graduating in a year. But you mentioned that essential oils are great to give somebody on their, at home. It's an at-home activity. With all of the things that you guys do in your health and wellness practice, when it comes to counseling, therapy, anything like that, how do you continue to, other than encouragement, how do you continue to know or to tell people to do things at home, and how do you know that they're actually doing what you're telling them?
That's a really good question.
Because it's really hard to get people to do like even a simple core exercise if they got low back pain or something crazy like that, let alone do essential oils, do different therapies and things that they can do on their own at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, exercise is totally different, Not many people will do exercise, or I want you to do these stretches or something like that. They won't. But for the most part, people are pretty compliant with either taking supplements or following like an essential oil protocol or something for whatever reason. I think it's because, they're used to somebody telling it, like prescribing something like, here's a prescription. This is how many you need to take and when you take it, and they do it, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of their mindset. So not that it's, a prescription, but it's kind of similar in the sense that we're recommending or prescribing, right? But something natural and like, hey, we want you to take 2 of these a day, or we want you to, take 2 drops of this essential oil, every day, or what have you, or diffuse, these 3 oils, whatever it is. And they're pretty compliant with it. And we, right? I have found.
I would definitely say I've experienced an increased compliance, and I do more of our customer management with our oil, kind of our oil division, if you will. So we have this center in Grayton Beach, Florida, and we also have a huge population of oil users really all over the globe. And so obviously those people are not coming into this office to get their protocols. We're interfacing with them a lot of times through social media. And one of the things that we do to increase that sense of community and kind of continuity there, if you will, is a Facebook group. And we have a closed group that all of our users, as well as anybody who's curious or questioning whether they want to become a user, can go in. And, as long as they are not kind of already being nurtured by another wellness advocate, because we would not want to step on that person's toes, but they're welcome in our group. And so it's really a community of education, inspiration, ideas. We're constantly posting recipes for the things that we're hearing feedback people want to know about most. So sleep, weight, anxious feelings, owies, itchies, skin, right? People always want to know, how do I help my skin?
Immune support,
right? So we give recipes. We also kind of stay in communication about safety, best practices for using the oils. Now, I will say, I think that we have even further increased compliance, if you will, for people who see us in our office. Rob and I provide a service that we call integrated wellness sessions. And what that is, it's an hour and a half session where they get both of us in the room at the same time, and they pay a flat rate to get whatever that either of us bring to the table that we all agree to be in that person's best interest in this moment of time, given your presenting concerns as you're reporting them to us. So we're listening to what they're telling us and looking at it from like a holistic health perspective. I'm looking at it from like a situational, circumstantial, history, trauma history, relationship perspective. And, we're making recommendations, and those recommendations often include adjustments, we do a holistic exam with folks, and we assess their entire body system. Rob does. I take notes while he does this. And assess the functionality of all the organ systems and glands in the body, and then we create customized supplement and oil protocols for them. Rob leaves the room and they have time to have therapy with me. And then we do this on a weekly or biweekly basis. And so they know that when we make recommendations, we understand them as a whole person and a whole system. And it's truly in their highest good based on all the tools we have in our tool belt that we're pulling out very specific ones for their situation. And then they know that there's going to be some accountability because they're going to come back into the office and we're going to say, so tell me how your anxious feelings are doing, how your digestion is, how sleep, right? How many panic attacks have you had this week? Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why, it's not just like you said, essential oils is the cherry on top of the cake, it sounds like, for your wellness practice, which is awesome because you guys do so many different things. And with that being said, I want to dive into our next topic of what you guys on your site call hormone and neurotransmitter testing and analysis. Now, this is intriguing to me because I think that hormones contribute more than we accredit them with. And to distress, to health and well-being, to an all-around overall healthy lifestyle. And a lot of people don't know about hormones, or if they do, it's like the basic, major media, your hormones are the problem, but no one knows like specifics or how to get it tested or where to go to get it tested. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Can I talk general and you go specific?
Sure.
Okay. So I'll talk general because this is not my wheelhouse. And so I can kind of bridge that gap between what I know about what he does and also what I think is like that lay perception, right? So I know most of the people that I interface with when they think of hormones, they think of women and their menstrual cycle or fertility. That is it.
Yeah.
And so a big part of what we do is education around that both men and women have hormones, that we have many more hormones besides just estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone.
Yep.
And that hormones are the equivalent, from like the brainstem down to neurotransmitters from the brainstem up, in that they are messengers. They are the ways that messages get delivered from one part of the body to another part of the body in order to control every single body function. Every single. And so when our hormones are out of whack, we're putting every single body functioning at risk, right? So hunger, satiety, sleep, wake, sex drive, digestion, mood, what else?
Pretty much
everything. Right?
Yeah.
When our hormones are out of whack, we run the risk of throwing anything out of whack. So it's so far beyond what I think most people just think about as far as like menstruation or fertility.
Yeah, and to tie it back to chiropractic, right? So, chiropractic, we learn about a somatic visceral reflex, but then there's also a visceral somatic reflex. So oftentimes the true cause of the subluxation can be that dysfunctional gland rather than, the other way around.
Yeah.
So yes, we can adjust someone and it can make a difference in the way a gland or system functions, right? But we can also support that particular gland with a particular supplement or essential oil or what have you that will then, alleviate the subluxation.
Right.
So, from a communication standpoint, like Katie said, the body communicates two ways. One, obviously, is through nerve impulses, and then the other is through hormones. So those are the two communication systems of the body. So you're right in that many people have hormone imbalances, but really don't know what to do about it. Many times they feel like something is off, but they go and get some blood work done. Oh, well, everything was normal. They don't feel normal, and that's simply because, a lot of times with medical testing, there's such a huge range, for hormones, and so you can be, as long as you fall within that normal range, they it's like, oh, you're fine, everything's within the normal
Yeah.
range. But the difference between normal and optimal. So what I always like to do is look at that lab work and say, yeah, you are within the normal range, but this is what the optimal range for that
Yeah.
particular hormone should be, and you're outside of that range,
Yeah.
and explain to them the difference and what effect that can be having. So, from a, functional wellness standpoint, we're really looking for that underlying cause of whatever they have going on.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And from the neurotransmitter standpoint, there's lots of different neurotransmitters, and some are excitatory and some are inhibitory. So a lot of times we can have imbalances with those neurotransmitters that, through neurotransmitter testing, we can identify which particular neurotransmitters are out of balance, and then we can put them on a custom program that can rebalance those neurotransmitters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And so, go ahead, Katie, were you going to say something?
I just wanted to add something from my perspective.
Yeah.
So, I like to join in this, whether it's, providing this sort of education in the online forums that we have, or if we're in session together, by bringing in an element of understanding. Because I personally believe as a psychotherapist that that knowledge is power, right? If we don't, this wraps everything together. If we don't understand why or how it is that we're feeling what we're feeling, right?
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, so I know my body pretty well by now. I've been with this guy for a long time. I've been on my personal wellness journey for a long time, right? I woke up this morning and I went to my exercise class and I felt a little tightness in my chest. Well, if I didn't understand my body and I didn't understand that I'd just been through a really stressful week and a half with work, and that I have scoliosis in my thoracic spine, and that when I get stressed, that scoliosis acts up and it creates a sense of tightness in my chest and sometimes a shortness in breath, which then results in a mild fight or flight response because my brain's not getting enough oxygen, and that it's a positive feedback loop for me. And the only way for me to shift out of that is both a combination of behavioral strategies to bring my body into parasympathetic mode and also getting an adjustment.
Yeah.
Somebody else might have been worried about their heart.
Right. Right.
Or have said, gosh, like, what's wrong with my lungs, right? Or maybe I pulled a muscle. No, right? So I believe so strongly that whatever your story is, you need to know how you got to where you are and create a sense of like, well, of course you're feeling what you're feeling because X, then Y, then Z, and now here we are. Can't you see? And then people are like, oh, yeah, thank you. I'm not going crazy,
Exactly.
And, we always, say chiropractic first, right, in chiropractic school. And really, like, if you seek out a natural approach first, like, so many things can be resolved, whereas, like, and when people know their body or are more holistic minded, they can do that. When they're not, like Katie said, that same person, if they're not, educated or in a holistic mindset, would go to the medical doctor, complain of, I'm having some tightness or shortness of breath, and then here you go. You're going down the road there.
Yep.
Well, we're going to have to run some tests. Next thing you know, you're about $1,000 into this medical testing, and then, nothing showed up with your heart, this and that. You were probably having a panic attack or some anxiety. So here, it's a prescription for Xanax or something, right?
Okay, but we have to say for liability purposes that there is a time and a place to go to a cardiologist and to get an EKG.
Yes.
But our point is that knowledge is power, and so that's a big part of how we work is we try to teach people.
Right.
Absolutely.
We want to educate them to tune into their body and know what's kind of normal for them and not. And if they're experiencing something, they can always reach out to us. I mean, that's one of the things that we're big on is like support and like everybody has our cell phones. It's not like, you know, you have to go through the chain of command to get to us, you know, like the clients, our patients, our customers, everybody can call us directly, text us, message us on Facebook. I mean, like we are like very accessible because I just believe that's the way it should be, you know, but, you know, and nobody abuses it, you know, like I have some colleagues that are chiropractors like, oh my goodness, I would never give my cell phone out. I'm like, I never have an issue. Yeah. I never have an issue with like people abusing that. And in fact, they like, you know, they'll schedule appointments by texting me, you know, and that's great. I love that.
Right.
And,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, man, you guys are so knowledgeable. You know a lot and you're really in tune. And I think being in tune, just to summarize kind of what you guys are saying, like being in tune with your body is exceptionally important. Not only when it comes to your own health and well-being, but also when it comes to communicating and educating other people. No matter if you're a counselor or a therapist or if you're a chiropractor, if you're in tune with your body, if you understand how your anatomy and physiology work, you're better off and set to help other people down the road. And that's what makes you a doctor, an educator, a teacher, right? And I think that's exactly what you guys were kind of saying. And I think I absolutely love it. I know I love it. Moving on to the next topic is going to be, I want to talk about a little bit about healthy eating and then diet. So how do people with essential oils, with neurotransmitter and hormone testing, how do people support that with nutrition? Because nutrition's a huge deal. You know, you got GMOs, you got all of these different things going on in the world. How do you keep control of all of that, and especially if you're a lay person in general society?
Oh, I love that. I think that, you know, if you were to take a scale of like 0 to 100, 0 being someone who knows nothing, and 100 being somebody who knows everything and whose diet is as clean as if they were living off the land 2,000 years ago, right? I would say that Rob and I are probably somewhere around that 80% mark. And, you know, we do have pretty strong beliefs about what to eat and what not to eat. Even ways to really enjoy your food, and still have a clean diet. But that doesn't mean that, I guess for us, you know, again, looking at a person as a whole person, you're hearing more and more, well, that's not clean either. Well, that could cause cancer too. Yeah. Or, you know, and it's like, well, at some point, what is the greatest good, right? At some point, I think for us, and this is a very, very personal decision for every family to decide, or every human to decide, where do you say, enough for me, right? And so, for example, we try to eat as much organic as we possibly can find. Where this becomes an 80% is where you'll find people that say, well, hey, organic isn't necessarily 100% pure either.
Right, yeah.
Right. Or, you know, we go to restaurants on date nights and it's not always farm to table. Right. So we find that as a balance, but as a general rule, I'd say that we advocate minimizing or eliminating processed foods.
Yeah, I mean, the big things I always talk about are
always the same.
Right. Gluten, soy, sugar, dairy.
Okay.
You know, those are your most inflammatory foods.
And if you want to get up one notch, we would say grains, sugar, soy, and dairy.
So,
and then grass-fed ground beef, or grass-fed beef rather, organic chicken, wild-caught fish.
Yeah, so healthy fats. So foods like avocados, you know, nuts and seeds, nut butters, things like that. So good source of healthy fats, lean protein, like Katie just said, your grass-fed beef, your wild-caught fish, free-range organic chicken, and then lower sugar fruits, and then vegetables, and I'm a huge fan of your cruciferous vegetables, so broccoli, cauliflower, kale, bok choy, those types of foods. So really if you kind of eat those foods, healthy fats, lean protein, lower sugar fruits and vegetables, and avoid, gluten, soy, sugar, and dairy, you're off to a good start.
Yeah.
That's really kind of the basis for healing. That's really where I kind of start with people. Now, if they have a specific sensitivity to, something that shows up on their exam or something, then obviously we'll add that. Well, your, eggs aren't really testing well for you, so we're going to eliminate those too or something. But for the most part, if you avoid those food groups and then incorporate the ones that we just spoke about, you're building a nice foundation from a nutritional standpoint for healing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, boring or anything like that. A lot of people think it's boring to eat healthy, I mean, there's just, especially with Pinterest nowadays, I mean, there's so many recipes,
get really fun.
Yeah, you can get really creative if you want to and you have the time and whatnot.
Yeah.
And,
And then as far as the role of supplementation, right, and essential oils with that, again, bringing it back to knowledge. So we heard a holistic doctor, she's actually a holistic midwife and chiropractor. Is it that gal there? Was that the one who gave the speech? No, okay.
Different one from Canada.
I can't remember. She's from Canada. Amazing. She's also a leader with doTERRA, and she stood up at our leadership convention a year ago, and she talked about supplementation. And she said, really, the truth is that if you go into Whole Foods Market and you bury your face in the organic produce section and you stay there all day long, you cannot possibly consume the amount of micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals that every cell in your body needs to be able to be fed at its optimal level and to get all the fuel that it needs to function at its optimal level. And so we have to supplement what it is that we are consuming through our diets. And when Rob and I use the word diet, my guess is that this was your intent too, and maybe just to differentiate, we don't use that word to reference any restriction of food.
Right.
We use the term to reference what foods are in the range of what we consume. Just as like if you were on like a Disney safari through Animal Kingdom, they're going to say, well, the hippopotamus lives on a diet of X, Y, and Z, right?
Yes.
Like keto, what's it called? Weight Watchers. But just like we have a diet that we follow, they have a diet that they follow. It's just a way of being.
Absolutely.
And, so to bridge the gap between what's consumed and what we need, we have supplements. And we are always a big fan of whole food supplements. Do you want to explain what that means, a whole food supplement?
Sure. Yeah, so, there's a huge difference between a whole food supplement and a synthetic supplement, which majority of your supplements on the market are going to be synthetic, meaning they're just simply created in a lab, whereas a whole food supplement is just that. It's food. It comes from food. It's just food in a concentrated form, so if you look at the ingredients, you're going to actually see food listed there and not just a bunch of vitamins or minerals, So that's, that's always the key there. Just check the ingredients. If you don't see any food listed, move on. So obviously, and from a biochemistry standpoint, right, a synthetic vitamin or mineral doesn't work the same way as something that's found in nature. So it can actually create nutritional deficiencies if you're having a synthetic vitamin versus a whole food vitamin, because your body's trying to make that a whole complex. Vitamins are never found isolated in nature. They're always found as a complex. So, your body, that's the way your body utilizes them. And they're also never found in high doses, right? So anything that says high potency or, mega dose or something, you want to stay away from that, because, it's just too much for the body to handle.
Yeah.
That's not the way they're found in nature, and that's not the way your body can utilize them.
Yeah.
So, making sure you're on a good whole food based supplement, oftentimes there's some other supplements that we feel are pretty critical, like a good omega, supplement. Also a good probiotic, a prebiotic and a probiotic combined is ideal, whereas you're getting that prebiotic, which is the food for the probiotic, which is the beneficial bacteria. So those are kind of like your foundational products that we will typically recommend. And then we can get more specific, again, if we're, addressing someone with specific hormone imbalances like adrenal fatigue or, if they have a thyroid issue, Hashimoto's or something, then we might put them on some specific clinical supplements to target that, those specific glands, thyroid or adrenal or both or something like that, or endocrine system as a whole.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what someone has going on. We have our foundation and then we get more targeted, from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say that with synthetic, supplements, you just have expensive urine?
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Perfect.
yeah, it's pretty, it's pretty brutal. I mean, but I grew up taking supplements. I grew up on vitamin D, magnesium, cinnamon, even like all this stuff that we considered a supplement, which I do still consider a supplement. But now I know where to go for those resources. What brands are good, what brands are necessary to improve my health. And I know my body's going to use it because it's not, this giant horse pill of, quote, fish oil, and I'm just, slamming it down. That's not how it works these days or ever. But you learn a lot, and that's why I wanted you guys on. So healthy eating and diet, lifestyle, we nailed that. I think we nailed that. How do you guys feel?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Last but not least, I would love to talk about just what you guys call best life coaching, as well as just a lifestyle mindset online business coaching platform. How do you do it? And how much work is it? Because everyone's always like, oh, I'm going to start this online business and work 3 hours a week. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not how that goes, but I'm pretty sure you're working double time until you actually have a following and you actually have people that are interested in what you want. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead and speak on that a little bit.
Well, so just to speak to, what we consider best life, right? So this is a concept that I think, for some it has become somewhat cliched if you've been immersed in health and wellness or even personal growth, self-help. If you've not been, this concept is something that it can be very rare and unusual to even consider. And, as a therapist and someone who provides life coaching and coming from this perspective or even health coaching, I often get a lot of pushback. So, coming back to compliance, and not to go too far down the mental health or mindset rabbit hole, but a lot of us have a set point. And that set point is created from what we have experienced thus far in our lives and what we've seen from key players in our lives. So, the amount of health and wellness we've experienced, the amount of wealth we've experienced, the types of relationships we've experienced, the amount of fun we've had, right? So we have a baseline for that that's created by what life has shown us so far and what we've observed from people like our parents, our preachers, our teachers, our mentors, and the 5 people that we spend the most time with, okay? That's going to shape our conscious belief about what's possible. Excuse me, let me rephrase. Our subconscious belief about what's possible, right? And then if a coach, a health coach, a therapist, a life coach comes in and says, hey, but did you realize that there could be something more for you, right? Often that subconscious mind wants to throw up a defense, or really that's the conscious mind. I've got those switched. The conscious mind is throwing up a defense saying, no, do not get into my subconscious mind and even consider changing what I have always believed to be true, because these are not thoughts, they are beliefs.
Yeah.
And beliefs are sure things, just like we believe that there is gravity, because every single time in my entire life I've ever stepped on the floor, I've stayed on the floor. I've not right? So I believe that gravity is a true concept. I believe that all I am capable of or cut out for or worthy of or destined for or fated for is what I've experienced up until now. Mm-hmm. Okay? So part of our job is to really gently hold them to the fire and show them, sometimes a bit at a time, that maybe those beliefs are only a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Right? That what would it be like if you could create your best life? What would your best marriage look like? What would your best work scenario look like, right? People look at me and they say, well, Katie, I can't do what you are doing.
Why not?
Why not? Right? Right. From anybody else,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't have any superpowers. Secret's out.
Actually, she does.
Man.
But we've built our lives, and I like to talk about it as sculpting. Okay, so let's imagine that you're born with a big block of clay. So before I dropped out of art school, I took, I forget what they called it, like a clay class, right, to teach me how to sculpt. And they gave me a big block of clay and a bunch of tools. And what I was taught was that in order to create a sculpture out of this big block of clay, I had to take some clay off of areas where I didn't want it and add more clay onto areas where I did want more. So when we create our best life, you know, we sculpt it in much the same way. Now, up until about like maybe 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, we're kind of like at the mercy of our circumstances for large part. Mm-hmm. And then by the time we get to mid-20s, it's up to us to acknowledge where we've come from, acknowledge what we've been through, acknowledge how that has shaped our clay up until this point, and then figure out, do I like that?
Yeah.
Or do I want to change that? Because now it's up to me to do that. And that's the same with our physical health, as well as our mental health, as well as our life and our structure and how we live.
Yeah. I love that. I've never heard that analogy, but the clay analogy is spot on. But I'm interested to just dive in a little bit deeper with like when you reach that tipping point, right? It's this conscious. I would say I've realized it and I've recognized I've been nurtured up until this point, this certain point, right? And then you kind of start venturing off. You start questioning things. You start doing things a little bit differently than how you were raised, and you affect everyone around you. But everyone around you, if you're my age and you're hanging out with your peers, is kind of going through the same thing. So it's like, can you talk a little bit about why that happens, why it occurs, and what are your best options to make it your best outcome on the flip side of that?
Yeah. I think the quick and dirty, you know, one is an awareness that you're not alone. And that most of the time, most of the people I see in my practice who are going through, you know, what maybe this kind of awakening, if you will, are mid-20s, where they're out of their parents' home. Maybe they've left the town where they grew up. Maybe they went and they got their bachelor's degree. Maybe they even got their master's degree. Maybe they're married or significantly dating. And then they're like, okay, now what? Like, I checked all the boxes. Yep. Now what? Or maybe they're really struggling with a pattern of behavior. Like, I consistently sabotage relationships in this way. Or I consistently sabotage my success in this way. Or I consistently struggle with food in this way. And then, you know, the job is to unpack that. The job is to create awareness around that. And, you know, I love to tell people, like, you're not alone. Like, this is a pretty normal kind of rite of passage, right? Moving out of early life into, you know, your adult life, creating what is the life I want to create, separate from what other people, maybe my parents, my society, my extended family, you know, my culture has said I should create or would be a good thing for me to create. What do I want to create with this? Absolutely. And so then, you know, we start looking at behaviors and I often, you know, if somebody's unsure about what they want to create, I lead them through some, you know, guided imagery, some, you know, subconscious work, We do some artwork to access the right brain, which often has some more answers than the literal left brain. And sometimes we'll do things, all kinds of fun activities to get to that idea of like, what do I want to create? Once we know that, then we look at what behaviors are in line with that, what behaviors need to fall away, what relationships are in line with that, what relationships need to fall away. And rarely we'll do it the other way around, right? Sometimes people don't know exactly what they want to create, but they can tell me that they're sure that this specific behavior is toxic.
Yeah.
Or they're sure that this specific behavior is toxic, or relationship is toxic, or they're sure that they need to do more of this thing that they've been longing to do, right? And so sometimes we identify the end goal and create it. Other times we just take one small step in front of the other and create it. When I do this in therapy with folks, I'm generally pretty gentle and patient. And when I do this in coaching, I take a much more direct kind of behavioral-based approach, and it's usually more fast-paced, less emotional focused. So sometimes people wonder what the difference between the two is, and sometimes there's no difference depending on the client situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Rob, do you have anything to add to that?
Create your best life?
I don't know. Let me think. I mean, I will say this, one of the things, being in chiropractic school, right, you're in this bubble. Like you said, you're just surrounded with everybody that thinks the same as you for the most part, and is, and that, I think, is a little bit of a disservice. It's good for strengthening your belief in chiropractic because, like, everywhere you go, everyone's like, like they think the exact same as you. Right. Like, wait a minute, everybody doesn't think the same as me? So, I think, expanding your horizons, getting, having a sphere of influence other than just your chiropractic friends, I think is huge. If I could go back, I was just so immersed in chiropractic, when I was in chiropractic school, and that's like, eat, sleep, and breathe chiropractic, Yep. But now that, 23 years out, if I could go back, I would definitely, socialize more outside of just the chiropractic world. Because I know that was huge for us in our early relationship. We would have these conversations and, she would really open my mind or expand my mind because I had these certain beliefs, not, like she said, from my child and from my parents and stuff like that. And so she had a different, upbringing and different, and with her psychology background and stuff, we'd have these conversations that really kind of opened my mind and made me have more broader horizons. And I think that's key for helping someone create their best life is knowing what are like other opinions, like you interviewing me, like me and Katie right now, you might hear some things and be like, oh, that's really that's interesting. Or,
absolutely.
I might incorporate that in my practice or something like that. And just so the more you can talk to different people and hear different thoughts and different opinions on things, I think that allows you to then hone in on what is it that you want. You can take little, hey, I really like what that person said and I would like to do that. I like that, and that helps you decide on what you want to be your best life. And then you can start taking steps towards that. So if you, once you know what you want, you can seek those people out and say, hey, essentially, I kind of want what you have. I really, hey, I love what you're doing. I love your vibe. Or, can I follow you around? Could I
follow you around?
Chiropractic, hey.
Yeah.
Follow a chiropractor around or, someone that you
can't really do that now.
Yeah. That's, you kind of do that stuff, but now, you might follow them on social media or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
You might say, I really like what they have to say. Let me see where they are on social media and start following them.
Absolutely.
So I can, learn more and that will help me create that part of my life that I want. you know? So that's all I would have to say. I don't know if I made myself clear.
No, you did, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and, you know, surround yourself by the right people, but nowadays, I think you nailed it on the head. It's like, you follow people on social media or you shadow dox, or you do this and that, but to branch out, I think, is what both of you said beautifully. Branch out. Get to know people outside of your profession, no matter what you do, chiropractic or not. I think it's important to grow as a society, as humans, and off of social media as well. I mean, I do these interviews to bring new light to and new topics to chiropractic students because I think it's important. Obviously, we're still talking about health and wellness, but when you're talking to other people, I think every conversation should be about health and wellness. And that's just like, it either goes there or it doesn't, but get to know new people. With that all being said, I absolutely love you guys. I think that we will definitely be doing another live interview come season 2, hopefully, if you guys are down for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So
Fun, honey.
I appreciate it. So last but not least, what action steps can people take to reach out to you guys? I put your website link on the screen, which is why, like, if my eyes are down, my camera's up here, but if my eyes are down, I'm typing and trying to, like, upload topics that we're talking about. So I put www.robandkatie.truax, Truax.com on the screen, so people can head there, check out your website. Any other action steps that they can take to better themselves and get more in touch with you guys?
Yeah, definitely. So we're all over social media. Our Instagram is at essentially_vibrant_tribe. We do have a Facebook group exclusively for people interested in doTERRA essential oils, which is Essentially Vibrant, Living Healthy with doTERRA essential oils. We have a Rob and Katie Truax Facebook page. I have a Katie Truax LMHC Facebook page. And I mean, you know, you really could like just immerse yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's perfect.
You know, different people like to take different pieces of what we have. Like Rob was saying, you know, explore, take what you want, leave the rest. And, you know, we kind of have we share different aspects of ourselves in each of those venues. And, you know, honestly, like Rob mentioned, we are old school. Like we're not shy to publish our, cell phones publicly. So we'd be happy to, you know, share those with you too. If anybody feels most comfortable texting or calling for a consultation, you know, we do offer complimentary, you know, 20-minute phone consultations if you want to chat about whether what we bring to the table is right for you or can help you with your individual needs. Do you want me to say that now? Do you want to type that in? Like I said,
I can throw it right here on the screen if you give me a second. Go ahead.
Yeah. We have our Atlanta number still. So Dr. Rob is 404-421-2524.
Say that one more time. 404
421 2524.
Okay.
I feel like, so when I was a kid, we had PBS telethons where they would make a money drive, and they're telling you the phone number.
Yep.
And my phone number is 404-429-2505. So you can Facebook message us, you can follow us, you can text us, you can call us, or you can email us through our website, or you can send a messenger pigeon, and we'll get back to you that way too.
I absolutely love it. Well, thank you. I'm going to do a shameless plug real quick. Thank you for being on. Thank you for watching. We've had viewers coming in and out all night, which is amazing. This has gone over an hour, which is perfect timing. So thank you, Rob and Katie, for being on the show tonight. Thank you to all the viewers. And also be sure to go check out thelegendarychiropractor.com/mentor up. And I am going to right now ask Katie and Rob if they'd love to be mentors. They don't have to answer me yet, but I will shoot you guys a message separately on Facebook, and I'll get you that link to fill out if you're interested in being a mentor for the Legendary Chiropractor. I would love to have you, and I know the audience and the chiropractic students would benefit greatly from your guys' advice and expertise. So thank you for being on tonight. I really appreciate it.
I mean, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a pleasure.
It's been so fun.
Yeah, it's been great. And I mean, I love your energy.
Yeah,
and
totally.
it was great questions. So thank you for including us in this episode. We really appreciate it.
Anytime. I'll definitely reach out in the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Thanks so much,
All right.
Johnny.
Bye,
All right,
guys.
take care.
Bye.
All right.